Details of these and many more if you stay with me for the next 20 minutes. My name is Josh Kunyo, live on DSTV channel 279. Let's begin with some politics because with 8 upcoming primaries and matters arising, the National Democratic Congress, NDC, is in the news again this morning because it has secured an abridgment of time for the injunction case brought against the party's primaries. The case will now be heard on Friday, May 12 instead of May 15. Dr. Kobna Dufo, a presidential hopeful, sought a court injunction due to some discrepancies he says he found in the party's voter register. In a writ submitted to an Accra High Court, Dr. Dufo claimed that the party failed to provide the necessary photo album register in compliance with the party's rules 5 weeks prior to the elections. He added that a partial photo album register was given to his team on May 4, although they had requested for it in March. Furthermore, he claimed that the hard drive provided to his representatives contained 220 constituencies, contrary to defendants' supposed 228 constituencies. The Dr. Dufo added that despite his request for a postponement of the elections until a full photo album register is secured, the party has failed to heed to his request. Thus, he is asking the court to grant an interlocutory injunction to restrain the party and its national officers from holding the elections scheduled for May 13. Meanwhile, the Electoral Commission has said it will not supervise the primaries until all the outstanding legal issues are resolved. Meanwhile, a professor of political science, Ransford Jampo, has expressed regret over the way differences in the run-up to the NDC primaries are being handled. According to him, various internal dispute resolution mechanisms must always be exhausted before any attempt at seeking redress in the court in order not to create more challenges going forward. Take a listen.
I think that electoral contestation in political parties operating in democratic systems must always be fair and conducted on level playing fields. People should also have the right to express dissent and concern about the processes leading to such electoral contestations. And so, ideally, it is not wrong if somebody who is part of a flag bearership contest feels that things are not going the way they are expected to go, and the person decides to express concerns about them. I mean, you don't ideally would want to foul the person. But you see, in multi-party democratic practice and in the internal arrangements and operations of political parties, the express of dissent and concerns should always be legitimate and be devoid of mischief. Now, I've been studying what is going on, I've been following what is going on, and I am not too happy with the way and manner those who are expressing, or Dr. Tufo who is expressing dissent, is going about the way he's expressing dissent. Now, when there are other alternative dispute resolution mechanisms provided for by the party, these alternative dispute resolution mechanisms must first be used rather than resorting to the adversarial processes of the courts that could lead to unnecessary political sellouts, unnecessary washing of dirty linens of the party in public, and unnecessary fratricidalism by people who are supposed to be from the same political family.
Professor Ransford Jampo is a senior lecturer and a political scientist with the University of Ghana. Whether or not the primaries will go on as scheduled, we'll still be following up on related issues and update you in our subsequent bulletins. And now the Member of Parliament for the Asante Akim North, Andy Apia Kubi, has written his statement to the Special Prosecutor of allegations that a wealthy businessman attempted to bribe MPs who were pushing for the removal of the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta. The Majority Leader, Oseche Mensah Bonsu, who has also been invited, is yet to be interrogated. Here's a report by Komla Kluche.
Andy Apiakubi, together with the legal officer of Parliament, makes his way to the Speaker's conference room to be interrogated. The OSP, represented by the Director of Investigations, Emmanuel Basintali Amadou, with other key investigators, moments thereafter walked into the Speaker's office for the interview. After some 40 minutes, the MP appeared to have concluded his statement to the OSP. The OSP says Oseche Mensah Bonsu will be contacted as and when they are ready. You ended with the interrogation?
I ended with communication, conversation, not interrogation.
Conversation.
Conversation.
Exactly what were the demands of the OSP from you?
Oh, he needed a statement from me and I have given.
You've given a statement.
Yes,
are you willing to cooperate with them?
But giving information, does it not connote cooperation? I have given information. I have given a statement. And that is cooperation. Is that not the case?
Will you stand as a witness in the allegation that a big man approached?
I have not been invited to stand as a witness. I have not been invited.
For you, you made the allegations. Do you still stand by it?
It is not a very relevant question for now. At the point where it becomes relevant, a response will come.
Will you be willing to testify?
I have already, what have I done? I have already appeared before the committee, so I have testified already.
And this will be the final one. Has there been any communication to you regarding when next you possibly may be appearing before the OSP?
Well, if they find it necessary to invite me, I will bail myself.
That's Andy Apiakubi, who has just ended his brief interaction at the SES with the Office of the Special Prosecutor. He says he's given a statement and that he is willing to do everything in terms of cooperation with the OSP, but then he will insist on his rights. What that means, we are not too sure of. Komla Kluche, TV3 News, Parliament House, Accra.
Well, let's see how this very development pans out in ensuing days. We'll surely be monitoring and update you in our subsequent bulletins. If you're just tuning in, you're watching the morning news here on New Day with me, Josh Quinn. In the morning news this morning, the past days has seen parts of the capital experience some power outages. Most parts of Accra, including La Paz, Kaneshi, Kwabenya, Ablekuma, and adjoining environs, were without power from the evening of 9th May till 10th May and are demanding answers to the intermittent power supply in their areas. Corporate Communications Manager at GreatCo, Jifa Bampo, has been explaining the challenges. Take a listen.
Sincerely, we apologize for the erratic power supply that many Ghanaians may have suffered over the last couple of days. GreatCo is a transmitter and we are not a generator. However, we do have a view of what the generation is like. That is the generation coming from our power plants, whether they are hydro or they are thermal or they are solar. Unfortunately, there's been a shortfall in generation capacity, meaning we've not been able to generate as much power as Ghanaians demand. That's out of the control of GreatCo. And it's partly because we don't have enough gas coming in to power some of these plants. And that's why we've had some intermittent power supply. So there is no load shedding. What has happened is on some occasions, gas supply has been low. And as a result, we've had to reduce supply to ECG. Because what happens is that the generators would generate. We rely on gas from Nigeria. We rely on gas from Ghana. The gas we get from Ghana is about 100 million standard cubic feet of gas. And the gas we get from Nigeria hovers between something from 70 million standard cubic feet of gas every day. But today, for instance, we've received only some 55, 56 million standard cubic feet of gas. So what that does is, because you don't have enough gas, then you will have challenges with supply. So that's really what it is, because the plants need gas to operate. Without it, it means we must buy heavy fuel oil, and we don't always have enough stock. So if we have alternate stocks of diesel, heavy fuel oil, liquid fuel oil, there will be no shortage because there are plants that use those oils and they will operate. But if we don't have enough stock, it means they cannot operate as well. So it's really more of a capacity generation challenge.
Jifa Bampo is a corporate communications manager at Gridco. The Judicial Services Staff Association, JUSAC, has criticized the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations and the Presidency for failing to appear before the National Labour Commission. According to JUSAC, their failure to appear before the Commission will delay the approval and implementation of their salary. Meanwhile, the National Labour Commission has given JUSAC and government 14 days to get their issues addressed.
They were not in the meeting at all. It was later part that the Labour Ministry had a rep who joined the meeting, and in fact, it is better that the person had not joined at all, because we didn't find any use of the person coming to the meeting.
Why is it?
The person did not have that solution to the meeting. The person cannot give us the approval. The solution lies on the desk of the president to give us the approval for our salaries to be paid. And we said he didn't even have idea about the matters that we are dealing with. Yes. So we expected that people from the flag staffers would have come. You recall, on the May Day, we showed our placards to the president, and they know what we are dealing with. We have not even had acknowledgement of receipt of the petitions we've sent to the presidency. Nobody from there has also engaged us. So the National Labour Commission has ordered them to engage us so that we could arrive at a solution before coming to them. We are waiting to see how they will behave towards the directive that is coming from the National Labour Commission.
Meanwhile, the National Labour Commission has discounted claims by JUSAC that the Presidency and the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations defied their orders to appear before it. Executive Secretary Ofosua Samuel was speaking after the meeting with the Judicial Services Staff Association of Ghana, JUSAC, in Accra.
Commission has directed that the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations should convene a meeting of all stakeholders. That is the members of the JUSAC, the executives, the management of the Judicial Service, Office of the Chief of Staff representing the Presidency, the Ministry of Finance, and then the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. They are to engage under the chairmanship or the presidency of the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations Minister, and to report the outcome of their engagement to the Commission on or before the 24th of May. Yes.
And away from Labour, a Tamale District Court has convicted 2 people who attacked a radio presenter to a fine of 3,600 cedis, or in default, serve a custodial sentence of 18 months in prison with hard labor. The 2 persons, Idrisu Hadi alias Pagaza and his accomplice Mumuni Osman, were charged with conspiracy to commit crime, assault, unlawful entry and threat of death. The 2 accused persons pleaded guilty to all 4 charges and were convicted on their own plea and subsequently sentenced to a fine. Following the convictions, the 2 duly paid their fines to the court. We're following up on these happenings and update our viewers in our subsequent bulletin. Let's know what you also make of stories that have been aired so far. Go onto our social media platforms, TV3 Ghana, and we'll surely read your comments and share them to the rest of the world. Another single road that connects everyone in the Afajato South district of the Volta region to have is no longer accessible. This follows persistent strong rains that destroyed that bridge and rendered the road impassable. Robert Abilba reports.
Avayoyui and its satellite communities are major farming areas noted for cassava, maize and vegetable production, as well as cattle rearing. The Have enclave as a whole, as well as the Afajato South district, depend on Avayoyui and other nearby communities for their food supply. The collapse of the bridge on the only access road to the area has impacted socio-economic activities in the Afajato South district. The situation has impacted production as farmers have no means to convey their produce from the farms to the market centers. With no intervention coming their way, leadership of Avayoyui called an emergency meeting to discuss how to address the challenge.
We cannot undertake any meaningful economic activities here Because of the state of the road, children's school attendance are also impacted during the rainy season. Government must intervene now to save the situation. We have vast land, but cultivation has reduced drastically due to the bad road network. We are getting poorer and poorer as a result. Our hope is to get the road fixed. Farm produce and fish from Aveyoye are getting rotten each day because we can no longer drive there to take them to the market centers. The people of Chukwe are also greatly impacted because this was the shortest route for them. We are in distress and require urgent intervention.
Some women spoke about the challenges they face as a result of the poor road system and the bridge collapse.
The state of the road has prevented us from going to the market to sell or to even buy things that we can consume. The solution is the repair of the damaged bridge to open up the road. The inability of the children to go to school is an additional burden on us. We need the roads fixed to bring back life to normalcy. We are pleading with the government to come to our aid.
As the region's food baskets, the people of the area are calling on authorities to fix the road without further delay.
And now to the foreign front. Palestinian militants in the Gaza Strip have fired almost 300 rockets at Israel, and the Israeli military says it has hit 50 Islamic Jihad targets in the heaviest fighting in 9 months. 6 people have been killed and 45 injured in Gaza, local medics say. Several were hit rushing to shelters in Israel, where most rockets have been intercepted or fell in open areas. It comes a day after 15 Palestinians were killed in Israel strikes on Gaza, including 3 Islamic Jihad leaders. Islamic Jihad, which is the second biggest militant group in the territory after Hamas, had sworn to avenge their deaths. In more international news this morning, Pakistan's former Prime Minister Imran Khan has pleaded not guilty to corruption charges a day after his arrest sparked nationwide protest. 8 people have died nationwide in the protest and about 1,000 have been arrested. Police say the army has been deployed in some areas and has issued a stern warning after crowds attacked its properties. Khan's arrest dramatically escalated tensions between Khan and the military at a time of economic crisis. Conviction would disqualify the former cricket star Prime Minister from 2018 to 2020 from standing for office, possibly for life.